Hi, I'm Calvin.
I'm Calvin.
And I'm Calvin.
And you're watching episode 3.21 of In the Zone. Today, we're going to be discussing the Twilight Zone episode, Kick the Can. We're going to spoil the whole plot, so you have been warned.
It starts in an old house. You're like, oh, the house is so old.
Is the house old? Or...
that old people live there.
Is it old house as in blue house or old house as in dog house?
And it's the Sunnyvale rest home for olds. So then we get like a minute and a half of old people just sort of...
Okay, so we see a guy, and he's coming down the staircase, and he seems like happier and younger than everyone. Cause like, oh, I'm waiting to die.
But
and he's just like, I am full of life. I am happy to be here. And he's like, my son is taking me today.
My son is coming to get me today. Goodbye.
And then he shakes hands with everybody. He's very excited to go, and everybody wishes him well. And then he gets in the car. And then we get a top 10 anime betrayal.
So his son's like, oh, I said we were going to talk about whether or not I'm taking you home, not actually take you home.
Yeah.
And then he just lets him out of the car.
Oh,
this is a weird moment
that's kind of cruel.
It didn't make sense in the script, but I mean, it made sense in the script, but it didn't make sense when it was edited together. Presumably, there was a passage of time where they talked at the car, because it basically looks like he just goes, I came to talk to you, not pick you up, and then he just sort of lets him out. Yeah. But it seemed like there should have been a passage of time, but it wasn't clear. It just looks weird.
Yeah.
So then the son abandons him, and then the guy's like, okay, oh well, going back to my old folks' home.
He sees the kids kicking the can.
Can someone explain the game Kick the Can? Does anyone know?
Everyone kicks a can.
Like, I figured
whoever kicks it the most times wins in a period of 2 minutes.
I figured it was like
I don't know.
Hide and
looked
seek,
it up.
but everyone has to kick a can.
There's like one person kicks it, and they try to go for the
Well,
can.
either way, it's a whimsical children's game. I think no one here knows.
No. So the old man who is full of life, he picks up the can. He just sort of steals their can. He just sort of walks with this, and the guy's like, "Hey, Mister, that's our can. We're playing with it." And then he just sort of sits down with the can, and then
the kids descend on him and beat him.
Presumably he never gives it back. So then we fade to black. So Whitley, who's the old man full of life, is watching the children play in his room, and this different old man named Ben is angry. Ben is not a real character. He's just an archetype of a grumpy old man. He has no character. He changes slightly at the end. Pretty much he's just grumpy for no reason in an unrealistic way.
I think the character design is poor.
Really bad. If I could pick apart this
episode
into layers and I had to pick out one element that was really destroying the rest of it, it would be the writing. The writing, the dialogue is very bad. It's very on the nose. It's not subtle.
The dialogue is a disaster.
Somehow less subtle than Rod.
Wait, but just for what it's worth. The dialogue is a disaster. The character design is a disaster. The acting is a disaster. The sets are okay.
acting isn't that bad.
Acting is a fucking mess. Okay, so at first I wrote like a nice little casual note about like the delivery being bad, and then I went to the top of my paper and I wrote, this feels like when they were writing that, they thought it would be deep and profound, but it ended up being really basic and stupid. And then I was too frustrated, so I declared, apparently in very large things, this delivery is so bad, and then on the back declared, this is so hard to watch, then oh no, scribbled and pounded my pencil into the paper, because the scene was so bad.
You need to remember, compared to some of the worst episodes we've seen, this is not that low. It is not that low.
I had so much...
This is mediocre.
Okay.
Mediocre to pretty bad.
This is the first time that I have ever watched a Twilight Zone and just, like, been in pain from the point
think about...
Like, okay, this is... So I only remember, like, I wanted to leave. And this episode shares that distinction with like some horror episodes that have gotten me spooked.
Whitley's like, why are you complaining about them playing Kick the Can? They aren't hurting anyone. So then they talk about his son. And then Whitley's like, we used to play Kick the Can all the time. And then he's talking about how great it was to play Kick the Can. He's like, when we stop playing these games, that's when we start to get old.
I wonder what's going to happen in this episode.
He's like, whoa! And then he said, this is real. He says, maybe Kick the Can makes you young.
Again.
I wonder where this is going. I don't know where this is going. Started the series, the 5th episode they did was Walking Distance, which is great. It's a 10 out of 10 episode. And they, it's like one of these heartwarming, touching episodes. These emotional episodes, not like the creepy ones. And now, Rod was sort of like, okay, that'll be one of the things that we do. We'll have the alien ones, we'll have the Wild West ones, and then we'll occasionally have like the heartwarming ones where it's about youth in the past. But then, they've never been able to even come close to that. That's the only good one. Everything else is just an off-brand, worse version of Walking Distance,
So
and this is one of them.
What are them? So we have this one, we have Nothing in the Dark, No
Oh,
Light.
definitely. Static. Really similar to this one. Because he turns young at the end, and they're similarly bad in that the science fiction doesn't come until the very end, so the rest is just sort of uninteresting, because you're waiting for the interesting stuff to start.
But like, this one is just, what's going to happen at the end of the thing, and it isn't going to be interesting.
At least for Static, you don't know what the science fiction part is. Here, you do. But you can tell when they're trying to recreate the magic of Walking Distance because they use the Walking Distance music. It's like, no, didn't earn it, doesn't work. Calvin has to leave, so he's gonna give it a rating early.
Alright. 3.5. Okay, bye.
So then Whitley's like, oh, Ben, you're grumpy now, but you used to believe in magic.
And you put the tooth fairy tooth under your pillow.
Whenever we would go on opposite sides of a street lamp, you would say bread and butter, which is like an old superstition that you would only know if you watched the Twilight Zone. So they say in the nick of time, when they cross the street lamp and they go on opposite sides, they say bread and butter. I should go on the other side.
Okay, yes, well, I was in pain at this point already. I think Charles is very bad and should never act again.
Oh wait, is that Whitley's first name?
Yeah.
Oh, the guy, Whitley, do you recognize? Main guy, protagonist. First season episode.
The first season episode. Oh, is he Jeremy and Elegy or that weird arrest robot?
Oh no.
Okay, that's a balding man. Is he the criminal in Escape Clause? No, Criminal in the Lonely.
No. That guy was good at acting.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll give you a hint, he was magical, man.
Gabe. No, wait.
He was old, remember? He was a little scared to give out his magic, but he did it anyway.
Okay. What you need.
Yes. And he's like, oh, what's changed you? Why don't you believe in magic anymore? Oh, so sad.
It's a shame because what changed you? Why don't you believe in acting anymore? Oh, so sad.
Whitley's like, maybe the fountain of youth isn't really a fountain, it's a way of thinking. So then Ben goes to Dr. Cox, who's like the superintendent of the old man place.
Dr. Cox has some motives that you can tell and they make sense.
Just kidding. He's like, he's acting crazy. And Dr. Cox is like, yes. This job. Every time someone goes senile, I get a little cold inside. Maybe Dr. Cox might actually be an interesting character. Maybe he's sort of scared of people like Whitley, because he too is aging, and he doesn't want to confront aging. He's like Ben. He's going through Ben-ifying. He's also becoming sort of sad and grumpy and doesn't want people to have fun. And so he takes that out on Whitley by trying to punish him.
I mean, maybe he has motives, but I also argue if you need to think about it for as much as we have to find the good in an episode, it's not good enough.
I disagree, because sometimes...
Maybe.
Because,
Sometimes
because for Ben, you don't need to think about his motive because he's not a subtle character. Everything's right out there. Well, with someone like Dr. Cox, that's a better character because they're more realistic in that their motivations are hidden by their actions rather than by the kind of things they say, their facial expressions, stuff like that. It's more subtle. It's better.
Maybe. I still feel like, I don't know. Don't buy it.
You know, Whitley's acting wacky. You know, he goes out to the people on the front porch. He's like, don't you want to be young? Come on, guys, you're just sitting around like dead people. And then he's like, he sees a sprinkler, he starts to run through it like a child would. Then the doctor comes out, Dr. Cox, and then he like grabs Whitley. He's like, what are you doing? I'm gonna put you in a ward for observation. We'll have to isolate you. Feta Black. They're up in their bedroom, and Ben's talking to Whitley. He's like, you gotta act normal. And then Whitley's like, alright, I will. Maybe you're right. But then he looks at the can, so implying that maybe he will
He's going to kick the can.
So then at night, he puts on his shoes and he wakes all the people up. He's like, come on, we gotta wake up the girls.
Wake up Ben.
They all gather in a room.
Ah!
That startled me. So all the people there except Ben. He doesn't wake up Ben yet because he knows he's a grumpy old man. They gather in a room. They talk about kick the can. Basically, every line in this scene is terrible.
Every line is this. Okay. First of
just
all,
not
let's
realistic.
Say you got a group. Let's say you got a group of the best actors and actresses in the Twilight Zone, and you had them deliver these lines. It would be bad. And these are far from them.
So they're talking about kick the can. They're talking about youth. They're sharing memories.
We should all play kick the can so we can be young again. I need all of you to have the magic go.
Well, kick the can. I haven't played that in a long time. My legs are old like an old man's legs are. But I used to run. I miss running. There's one thing about being old that's bad, is that you can't run.
And then, so now we have an awkward 20-second pause, right? Because that happens in this scene sometimes. But kick the can, you can't possibly be serious. Oh, but I am serious. If we do kick the can and we are all doing it together and we believe in the magic of kick the can, it will restore youth.
Well, I can pick the can. I was the fastest runner on my block. You, the fastest runner? I don't believe it. Yes, it's true. When I played kick the can, I was the fastest runner on my block.
I remember. Well, I remember that when I was a kid, we would all play kick the can, and the kids who did not play kick the can would play hide and seek.
I remember kicking the can. So then Whitley's like, we should play. He wins them over. They all think it's a good idea to play kick the can.
I think we should play kick the can so we can be young again. Radical.
So then he goes up to Ben, talks to Ben, and he's like, Ben, why you gotta be a grumpy old man all the time? And then Ben's like, no, you're crazy. Whitley's like, you're afraid of change. You're afraid of the future. He's like, you're only being old because you've decided to be old.
And I bet this scene was this scene. Did you think this scene was profound?
Nope.
Me neither. But it was meant to be in a way that made it horrific.
When you're trying to do something emotionally sincere, it can either work, but if it's not quite there, then it can be really embarrassing.
This is
the latter. Whitley's like, there's magic in the world. There's magic when I fell in love and kissed Mary. There was magic when my baby boy was born. And
Mary,
who went on to abandon me.
Magic.
Whitley's like, all right, I'm gonna go without you, you dummy. Oh, and so they need to avoid the nurse when they go downstairs. So they get the guy who someone met, Dr. Cox mentioned in an earlier scene. It was sort of a good setup. He was like, oh yeah, there's this one crazy guy who lives here, always sets off fireworks. So apparently he just had a firework in his drawer.
Setup.
Yeah, it was in the scene where Ben talks to him. He lights a firework and then the nurse goes over to investigate, so then they all go down the stairs. Ben gets up to see where the hubbub is, why there's an explosion. He tries to get Mr. Cox, who's like, oh, they're all trying to play kick the can. It's like, Ben, don't you see that you're the worst? Don't you see that you're the bad guy? Why would you do that? So then they go outside, to punish them for having fun, but there's just kids there. And Dr. Cox is like, oh, it's just kids.
Those kids can't play there.
I wonder where the real old people go. Or maybe I'll go, maybe they're behind, but Ben knows. He sees a young boy and he knows he's Charlie. He's like, Charlie, take me with you. Wait for me, Charlie. Take me with you. Oh, wait for me, Charlie. And then Charlie leaves and continues playing. Oh, Ben. Ben picks up the can. He says, look all you want, Mr. Cox. You won't find him.
Oh my god, what a brilliant line. Iconic.
So why do you think Charlie left Ben?
It's a very poignant statement. No, I think this kid is not Charlie. I think all of the old people died while kicking the can because they had no hearts or lungs. And then along came someone in a bulldozer and just managed to pick up their dead bodies off the sidewalk. And then the kids were drawn in by the smell of blood.
No, but Ben presumably knew what Charlie looked like they were childhood friends.
Oh, that's a good point. I think Charlie just knew they couldn't take Ben.
Yeah. Some people just can't make the transition. And it's possible that maybe they just literally became children and he had no knowledge of who Ben was. Like he was starting
who
over
old
life.
man Ben was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a possibility too. I really don't think I care.
I want to see the sequel to this. What do those kids do?
They grew old again. Oh!
No, how? Where do they live? I guess they could go to like an old-timey orphanage.
Wait, you know what? I want to know what happens. I want to know what happens to the senior home.
Why? Because they run out of seniors?
No. 6 seniors disappeared yesterday from Sunnyvale Senior Home. The superintendent, Mr. Cox, says he has, quote, no idea where they are. In a statement by the nurse, she says, I went out to see a firecracker, and when I came back in, I didn't know anything was wrong, but it turns out there were actually no people in the building. Except for this one guy, Ben. Ben says, you'll never find them. 2 days later, 6 bodies were discovered in Ben's trunk, and it was discovered that he had been using hallucinogens. That would be a nice little plot twist.
I agree.
These aren't children. They're old people. They're all going to die anyway. I tell you, officer, that guy there, he's Charles. He's my friend since childhood. He's actually 79. That's just a kid's body. Okay, I think this was a bad episode.
Writing's bad. That's the main thing.
Writing's bad. Good. Acting is bad.
Plot isn't interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
plot
that's true.
is not interesting.
Plot gets completely uninteresting. Yeah.
Well, because you know what's going to happen from the beginning, and other than that, it's just a human drama rather than science fiction.
Yeah, and it's like,
human drama.
Are they going to really, the only question after that is, are they going to keep their bodies or not?
The human drama would be interesting if there were complex arguments about whether or not to play kick the can about the philosophy of being an old person, but there aren't because it's just archetype. Grumpy old man, happy old man, grumpy, happy, fighting. So there wasn't really actually anything interesting going on.
Grumpy old man, grumpy superintendent, happy old man, old woman, sleeping man, dead man.
I think you just read off the credits of the end of the episode. I can't really say that there's anything good about it, other than I've seen worse.
I found this, not just uninteresting, but hard to watch. Perhaps the uniquely most hard to watch of any episode I've seen.
3, 2, 1,
1.5. Whoa!
Rating split! Rating split! Rating split! Rating split! Well, hopefully next episode will be better. It'll be, Oh man, my skill is running out.
It will be the one about Last Rites of Jeff, right?
No, that's after.
Oh,
It'll be a piano in the house. So, we'll see you then. Bye.